You know, it's election day. You guys got to get out there and vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. That's how it works. Here with me now, running for Madera Sheriff, Chief Varney. What's going on? Well, you're actually sheriff right now, right?
No, I'm chief right now.
Chief, you're chief of the police.
Chief of police in the city of Chowchilla.
In the city of Chowchilla. And how long have you been there?
Just over 10 years.
Really? Did you grow up in Chowchilla?
No, I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, a long ways away from here.
Wow, so wait a minute. You grew up in Lansing, Michigan, and did you just apply for the job in Chowchilla? You found an opening?
Well, I found out about it through the person that was doing the national recruitment. I knew him from a group that I'm involved in called Point Man Leadership Institute, and their board is based out of Hume Lake Christian Camp, just east of Fresno here.
Wow.
So figured, hey, this would be a great place to be. I'll be closer to Hume, and went for it, and I'm still here more than 10 years later.
Now, how many people, when they find out from Michigan, your friends that you grew up with, about Chowchilla, they want to know about the kidnapping?
Well, actually, it came up even when they were doing my background. My captain at the time said, hey, I know just exactly where you're going. I've seen the movie. So everybody knows about the bus kidnapping.
So you're chief of police in Chowchilla, and there's how many people in Chowchilla?
Well, if you count the people in the two gated communities called prisons, there's about 19,000, but as far as citizens in the community, there's right around 12,000.
Okay. And if you go for sheriff in Madera, how many people will you be looking over then?
Oh, someplace between 150 and 210,000 folks, yeah. It's 2,100 square miles is the county. So.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, the Chowchilla chief of police, Chowchilla's pretty mellow town, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
That's a pretty good gig you got
right.
there, really, right? But now you want to go into this big sheriff thing. Why?
Well, it's always nice to hit some markers in your career, and I thought this would be a good time with Sheriff Anderson retiring after 4 complete terms. It'd be a good time to see if I can up my game and just enter the sheriff's race.
Now, you've obviously looked at what was happening in the sheriff's department before.
Right.
And is there anything that you'd like to critique about that? Maybe something that you'd do differently than they're doing now?
Well, one of my main goals when I get in there is to build some teamwork. I'll probably do something really similar to what I did when I came to Chowchilla. Fired out a survey to everybody, sat down with all the employees one-on-one there. The sheriff's office, probably what I would do is sit down with folks one-on-one and in their peer groups, like detectives with detectives, sergeants with sergeants. Because my experience has been over 31 years of law enforcement, is most of your best ideas come from inside the agency.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that we're taking advantage of everything that the employees have to offer.
Because they're out there, they see what's going on, right?
Exactly.
So they really know what should be changed and what should stay the same.
I strongly believe that.
Now, growing up in Lansing, Michigan, did you always want to be a cop?
No, but actually a neighbor of ours across the street, he apparently always wanted to be a cop and ended up being the chief in town. And I actually went to school to work for, it'd be like Fish and Game out here or CAL FIRE, someone like that. Mm-hmm. But in '84, there wasn't any jobs to be had in Michigan. So in '83, '84. So in '83, I went to work for the Dallas Police Department in Texas.
Wow, and I bet you were busy over there.
Very busy place, yes, sir.
So when you come out to California, you come to this little town, and you kind of fall in love with the Central Valley?
Well, it's a great place to be. You know, some of my friends come out and they look around, and all they see is desert and almond trees, and I see that I can get to Monterey in 2 hours, or I can get to Sacramento in 2 hours, or I can get in Yosemite in 2 hours. So, yeah, it's a great place to be.
Now, the election is today.
Yes, sir.
And when would you take office if you were to win today?
You don't take office till the first week of January 2015.
Okay. So let's say that Varney wins today.
Actually, yes, let's say that.
Do you quit in Chowchilla, or do you take a little time off and enjoy things before the next ride starts?
If we went outright this week, what we do is start working a transition plan at the sheriff's office and in the PD. Yes, I'll probably take a week or 2 off. But if someone wins this week, hopefully me, it would be better, I think, overall for the sheriff's department. Because if you win in November, you've got like 4 weeks to get it together and get in office. Mm-hmm. Win in June, you've got time to put together a really great plan, right, including your input into next year's budget. Because it's budget time anywhere in California if you're a state or a county or a city.
What are some of the things in the Madera County that need immediate attention?
Well, I think one thing that needs immediate attention is the sheriff's office is short about 12 deputies. So if you're policing 2,100 square miles, 12 deputies can make a big difference. Another thing that needs some attention is we need to get some reserves on board. Reserves are a huge force multiplier, And once we get that going, then we can build in all of the other things that we've talked about in terms of putting into place some programs for youth, like a cadet program.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest problems from a crime standpoint are drugs and theft, frankly.
What kind of drugs?
Well, marijuana. The sheriff actually did a ready-to-grow operation last week where they're actually growing opium poppies. So the problems with the marijuana grows is it's destroying the areas that they're using it in. It's usually folks who have gone into the forest land, the federal forest property, and when they're done in there, it's a nightmare, along with the fact of the amount of marijuana that they're putting out on the road. We
had some people on the show last week, big supporters of the medicinal marijuana movement, and they're actually suing Fresno County today, and they said they'll be moving on to other counties afterwards. Are you looking for the illegal growers or the legal
Certainly.
growers?
Yeah, in Madera County, one of the things that we have that's nice is everyone's ordinance is the same. It specifies how big of an area you can grow in and what parameters you have to meet to successfully accomplish that. The bigger problems are the folks that are growing huge quantities and then selling it to who knows who.
Right.
Because there's no regulation.
And going into the national parks and ruining some areas.
Right.
Really.
And they're going on private land too. They're going into rangeland where people don't know they're there until they figure out that their water's been diverted, and it's all going into someone's illegal marijuana grow.
Right. Okay. Now, is meth a big problem?
Still is, yes, sir.
And it's a big problem in that region, isn't it?
It is. One of the things that we've seen as a change, when I got here in 2004, in the area, including the city of Chowchilla and the county immediately around it, basically the zip code area, we probably had 8 to 10 lab dumps. That's when people take their leftovers, dump them wherever they can, leave them there. You end up having to call out environmental health and all the folks to make it safe. We haven't had a lab dump in probably 4 or 5 years. What that should tell all of us is that the meth is coming in across mostly the southern border. It's now coming in liquid form, and if you Google it, they just busted a fairly large operation in San Bernardino County that I believe yesterday, and it was a conversion lab. They bring it in liquid, they recrystallize it, they ship it back out.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
And meth, if you've seen people who've used meth over a long period of time, it destroys their life.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly. Chief Varney, thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you.
Good luck on
appreciate
everything.
that.
Okay.
Thanks, Chuck.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Skyping in from somewhere up in Yosemite, the Double Rainbow Guy. We'll be right back. Is that it?